welcome back to my channel. I might be looking a little bit weird because I don't have any eyeshadow on, but it's because I'm in the midst of filming like 3 different videos right now. So I already done a video on my complexion products, and now this video is going to be dedicated to the Natasha Denona Love Glow Cheek Palette. I didn't buy the eyeshadow palette, I only picked up this one, so we're gonna get into it. Let's start with some very basic information. It costs $70 on the Sephora Canada website. I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it's $55 US if you're living in the States. But $70, and for that you're getting 4 pans of product. Now, let's talk about the packaging because it is eye-catching. There's little bits of floating glitter in there, so that's kind of neat. Completely unnecessary, but a nice little added perk, if you will. And then on the inside, it's very much like the Bloom palette in terms of the layout. So you have 2 powder products in these pans here, and then there's a little plastic, I can't do it from that angle, a little plastic flap, and then there is a cream product here, and then this is another powder product. So why the flap covers both of them is probably simply because they already had these components, but from a practical perspective, it's not protecting the cream product because the powder product's sitting right beside it. Regardless, there we have it. For shade references, this one here is the Glow Cream Base. The one beside it is the Super Glow. Down here is a Diamond Powder. And then on this side here is the Glow Impact Powder. All right, so you can see them a little bit closer. I'll just show you some swatches. So starting from here, moving towards my wrist, we have the Glow Cream Base, followed by the Super Glow, and then the Diamond Powder, and the Glow Impact Powder. Okay, so I don't have any blush on my face at this point because we're going to apply some. So we're going to start off with the cream product, and I'm just going to use my finger to put that on. Now it is very strongly pink, so I'm going to use it as a cream blush rather than as a highlighting product. So as you can see, it does have quite a bit of impact. Like I'm looking in the viewfinder and I can really see it over on my cheek. That's a stupid thing to say, isn't it? As you can see, it does have quite a bit of impact. Like there is quite a good amount of pigmentation going on. Once it's blended out, there's really no tackiness to the product, which is good. I will say it's not the easiest to blend out of all the cream products that I have tried, but it's certainly not the worst either. Sometimes, and I've said this before, but sometimes you set a cream product down on your skin and then go to blend it out and it's like, no, I just want to stay where you put me. I'm good. I don't want to blend out. That's too much work. This is not that product. So it does blend quite nicely. And like I said, I'm glad that it doesn't have like a sticky finish to it. So then what I'm going to do is go in with this product here. This one is the Super Glow. And I'm going to use it like a blush topper. So I'm going to use a blush brush and just pick up a little bit of that product on the brush, tap off any excess, and then just kind of stipple it on top. Simply because I don't want my cheeks to be like completely glowing. So I think in the viewfinder, at least, it's showing up to me that you can see the glow that's being left behind by that Super Glow powder. There is a little tiny bit of like a micro glitter in it, but I wouldn't call it a glittery product. But that is what's helping to give that kind of reflective look to it. Up close you can see it, but like from a distance, even from here to where my mirror is, I can't pick up the little pieces. but up close I can see them. So then I'm going to go in for a highlight with this shade right here. And again, this is the Glow Impact Powder. And I'm going to use a little highlighting brush for that. And just put that on the cheekbones. So this highlighter certainly does show up, but it's not the most like high impact highlighter that I have in my collection. So if you like a full-on wham in your face kind of highlight, this one is not going to achieve that for you. It's pretty, but it does lean towards the more subtle side of things. The color works for my skin tone because it is more of like a deep champagne kind of color. So it's not too strongly pink. Pink highlights on me don't always look great. The more champagne-y kind of gold colors work better for me. But having said that, this product over here is, as you can see, straight up pink. There is no hiding the fact that that is pink. And this is the diamond powder. So I'm going to use the same brush simply because this one is just nice and precise. And I'm going to apply that over top of the highlight that I've done. I'm just going to pop that on top, but just put it on the cheekbones, not across my nose or forehead. So you can see that it really does amp up the level of highlight going on. It is very, very light catching, but it's also quite glittery. It's not big chunky pieces, but it is definitely more noticeable in this shade than it is in that one up there. To the point where it's not really my aesthetic. Nothing wrong with it, but for me personally, it's just not a shade that I would tend to reach for. And it is like very pink. Like this would be a really pretty eyeshadow, but to wear on my face, it's just not something that I can see myself reaching for, unfortunately. For the sake of a quick comparison, I'm just going to show you the Bloom palette as well. I'll just show you side by side. I will say with the Bloom palette, they still have the same plastic flap, but the two products that it's covering are cream products, so that makes sense. But that's also giving me this idea that this one is simply because they had the components already, or else they could have just made like a singular flap for the one cream product, which would be a lot more production cost, I'm sure, but would have ultimately made more sense. Anyways, here we have the two. So this is the Love Glow, and then over here is Bloom. And you can see that this one lends itself a little bit more to more of like an apricot, almost like a rose gold kind of color story, whereas this one is far more pink. Appropriate for the season, and certainly the fact that it's called the Love Glow, it makes sense. But for my own personal tastes and my own coloring, I prefer the Bloom palette. Even this dark shade here, which I thought was going to be really intense, can be sheared out very nicely, and if you go in with a light hand, there's really no issue with it, but if you do have a deeper skin tone, it's going to show up as well. So that's nice with this one. Switching back to the Love, I keep calling it Love Child. Switching back to the Love Glow palette though, these are just, they're shades that in the picture looked really pretty, and I was really intrigued by this palette because I like the Bloom one so much, but in practicality, it just doesn't translate well on my skin. I am not a big fan of any of these products, to be honest, with the exception of the cream base. I like that one. However, I do have quite a few cream blushes, and this shade isn't anything particularly unique. So for $70 for this palette, where only one of the shades is one that I really do enjoy and can see myself getting use out of, I don't think that I'm going to be keeping this palette. I am lucky enough to live in Canada where returns are available to us, and I think I'm going to be returning this palette. It's not a bad palette, it's not, but it really is going to come down to personal preferences and what you think you're going to get use out of. For me, I know that this super sparkly pink highlight I'm never going to use. I'm just never going to reach for it. And this like, almost like an apricot sort of peachy kind of pink blush topper, I'm not gonna reach for that either. When it comes to this highlighting shade here, it is a drier formula, so I don't find that it's super impactful on my cheeks, as I said earlier, and I just don't see myself reaching for this over others in my collection. So for those reasons, I can't personally recommend this palette, but again, it's going to come down to what it is that you look for in terms of shades and sort of finish, I guess, of cheek and highlight products. But for me, although the packaging is really cool, it's not $70 cool. So I'm going to be returning this palette. But I did want to get the review up there because I know a lot of people are intrigued by it. And certainly when something has such a high price point, it's good to know what other people's experiences have been with it so that you can make a decision from there. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.